Hello, Augusto.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, and you? I'm really happy to have you here on this show. And
Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
you have been recommended to me by several people, actually. And
Oh,
now Mabel Gomez, who's my friend and your friend, she actually went ahead and arranged it. So very excited about this conversation. You're a very well-known figure, and with an important specialty, of course, of queer tango, but you also represent other things in tango as well. And it will be fun to talk a bit about that. So can you maybe first give me a short introduction of who you are for people who don't know you?
people who don't know me,
I
I'm
don't, I
okay.
don't, I don't think a lot of people don't know you. Like,
Yeah,
not a lot of
yeah,
people, not a lot of people don't know you. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure there are a lot of people who don't have a clue who I am.
Okay.
I always introduce myself as Augusto. I'm if I have to say something as a first thing, I would say I'm a tango teacher. I'm a tango teacher, I'm a performer, organizer, different thing that has to do with tango. Yeah, I've been doing this for more than 30 years now.
30 years.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I started with tango when I was at university as a hobby, and there was a moment that it became my main job and my main interested. And well, I went on with tango as a way of earning my income, my life, and yeah. So that's very shortly who I am.
Yes, so I'm sure we're going to hear more about that. But so, why do you principally identify as a teacher? So, why is that the first thing you identify with?
Uh, I always was very respectful for performers, actually, and it took me more time to convince myself that I was good enough to perform than the time that convinced myself that I could teach. So basically, I became first a teacher and then a performer in tango.
Okay.
And really, teaching tango is something that I do enjoy a lot. I do enjoy a lot. Yeah. And of course, I enjoy the other things like organizing and performing, and but teaching for me is easy. Is a very nice way to connect with people. So that's why I identify myself mainly as a teacher, and the rest comes afterwards.
So it was mostly as opposed to being a performer, or also the other things that you prefer, that you're defining yourself as a teacher?
No, well, I always try not to be locked in only one place.
Yes.
But that's what I do the most, actually.
Okay.
Being a teacher. Yeah.
And has that always been your, like, what you did the most in your history?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, it's what I did the most. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I actually first heard of you because I think in a video I saw in 10 years ago from the Berlin Tango Queer Festival. There was I think there's a very popular video on YouTube where you do a performance. I don't know with whom, but it was like, it's on a D'Agostino song.
Probably was with Claudio Gonzalez.
Yes, yeah, I remember that name. Yes.
Yeah. Claudio. Well, if I have to say who Claudio is, the first thing that I say, I would say that he's my friend. He's the how do you say, the oldest friend, the friend that I have had for the longest time in my life.
Okay.
We have been friends for more than 30 years now.
Okay.
And when I met Claudio, he was already a tango dancer. And I was a graphic designer student. And I had nothing to do with tango. And I had to say that a little bit because of him, I got involved into the tango world. Yeah, and it was always like some kind of dream fantasy. Someday perhaps we can tour together somewhere. And so when we were invited for the first time to the Queer Tango Festival in Berlin, it was like a dream come true.
Which year?
Yeah. Don't remember. No.
Okay.
2006, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is let's get back to the main story. Even though you said something already about the history just now, so that's interesting. But I suppose it's been asked sometimes before. You told me before this interview that you've told this story a lot of times, but I don't know if it's really so available in English, like in one interview. So I'd really like to hear, and I don't know much of this story either. So I really like, for me and the audience, I'd really love to hear this story of how Augusto Balizano came to be, so to say.
Well, as I said to you, I was a student,
a student
in the graphic design university here in Buenos Aires. I was already Claudia's friend, so I started to know a little bit, to meet some tango performers and teachers, so a little bit involved in that scene. And you know, when you really don't look for it, but I was like a little bit more and more interested while I was still at university. So one day I started to do tango lessons as a hobby. When I was at university, I studied every single day, you know, going to university every day. During the day, I was working in an office. So as soon as I have a couple of hours free, I was running to a tango lesson. And those amounts of time started to change because I was finishing already university, so I didn't have to study that much. And so tango became more and more important. And when I finished university, it was the end of the 90s, I think, something like that. So I was already working, but not as a main thing. Always the main job was the graphic design, and I stayed with tango.
Okay, but did you have any prior experience with dancing?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No. And I was very concerned. I remember my first tango lesson, or when I actually I called the tango school where I started, and I was very clear. I want to learn about how are the lessons, blah, 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 blah. The teacher said to me, schedule, money, everything. And I was like, look, I know nothing about dancing tango. I know nothing about dancing at all.
Yeah.
And she said to me, no problem, you can come. And yeah, so yeah, I started from zero.
So do you think you were talented when you started, or was it hard? Or
well, I don't want to sound selfish, but what I do remember is that in the first lesson, the teacher, her name is Claudia Bosso. She's still teaching. And in the first lesson, she started with the exercises. Okay, we have to walk like this and do this and do that. And she came close to me and almost in a whisper, she said, are you sure you never did anything before?
Oh, yeah, nice.
And I said, no. Aren't you lying to me? Like, so apparently she saw that there was some potential over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did it feel easy as well to you? Or was it hard?
No, it felt easy. It felt like a natural thing. I mean, I think it felt like a natural thing, also because of the way that Claudia used to teach. I mean, is she wouldn't put you into the difficult thing like once in a while, so you suffer and you notice how hard it is. No, she made it very easy as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And you this was just like the regular sorry for asking, but it's like the regular male traditional role. So you were learning to lead?
Yeah. We are talking like 1990, 1992, 3, something like that. So it was like a regular what we call traditional tango. Yeah, men leading, women following. Yeah. So yeah, and in those times, okay, it was my first approach to tango. So I didn't have any previous experience or any previous idea of what I was going to do or anything, but tango was like that. No, nobody, or at least where I started in those days, you didn't think like, oh, why do I have to do this? I would like to do another thing. You wanted to do tango and you were a man, you had to lead. And it was okay. And then some of the possibilities started to appear up here in my mind and in the society after some time. At the beginning, at least myself, I didn't question these possibilities.
Okay. But you went together with this friend, or did he just?
No. I went on my own. I went on my own.
He just inspired you to go.
He just yeah. I'm still nowadays do the things a little bit like this. I don't say anything to anybody when I want to do something. Yeah. So almost in a low key, and all of a sudden I say, oh, I started with this. Yeah.
Okay.
So after some time, I said to Claudio, you know what? I'm starting with tango lessons. Oh, great, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was funny. And in those days with Claudio, we used to hang out a lot. We used to go out in the nights, go clubbing and all those things. So there was a moment in our lives, we even lived together for some time. And there was a moment in our lives that our nightlife was divided a little bit to the disco and a little bit to tango. First, we started with tango. We went to milonga for some time, and then we rushed to the disco.
But if you were in the milonga, this was like traditional.
Traditional, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it was all you knew, like it was. It like you accepted it for what it was. It's like you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly the first milonga that I went to, but I have in my mind in those days something like Club Almagro, which it was considered the cathedral of tango. It doesn't exist anymore. And Club Grisel, which still exists. Those are the places that we used to go. Yeah.
And you also went alone?
At the beginning, no. I used to go with Claudio.
Okay.
Yeah. Many times also, I was going with him because he had to perform. So he said, oh, come with me, I have to do a performance. So I was there, just sitting, waiting for him, enjoying what I was watching. no? And for something that I do enjoy a lot is the life of the milonga. I could go to a milonga, just sit down and watch all night long and
Hmm.
without dancing at all, and for me it's great.
So
Yeah.
is that you say for me it's great? Are you only talking about then, or is it still like that sometimes that you can
No, it's
only
still like that. It's still like
okay
that. Yeah, it's still like that.
that you can
Yeah.
just
I,
enjoy?
I,
Yeah.
I'm not those kind of people who has to go to milonga and dance from the first time that till the last one.
No.
I do enjoy watching. I paying attention to the things happening, the stories in between. When you see the faces, when you see the cabeceos that don't work, and yeah, I do love those things.
Okay. So in the beginning, when you were getting your first tango lessons, so what did you
Yeah.
like about? How did you get hooked into tango?
I guess that is the fact that I felt that it was not difficult for me. That was what Claudia was asking us to do. It was working, it was happening, and I would say the feeling of dancing, when you feel that you're really dancing,
Yes.
you know? When you're doing a simple step in terms of difficulty. It's not like a big thing, but you listen to the music, connect with your partner, and you're dancing. That feeling was great, and that feeling was something that I wanted to keep on having, to keep on doing it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, do you did you have any background in tango before actually starting to dance, like in your family, or is it just random that you started with it?
No. Okay, my father liked tango, but he was not a tanguero at all.
Okay.
He was not a he was not we couldn't consider my father like a milonguero or anything like that. No, neither my father nor my mother, not even my grandparents on both sides. So I was like the first one doing this more like on a regular basis, and more like as a regular thing. You know, when my father and my mother used to dance tango, because if we were in a party or a celebration or something and the tango was played, they were there dancing. But I always thought that they were not dancing tango. They were doing some kind of bolero steps with tango music, because they were doing some kind of rocking thing, and that was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was
So
never. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
no, it was not something that it was coming in my family.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a bit of a standard situation that when in whatever country, when people study and they start having their adult life, then sometimes they discover some fun activity and then they stick with that, and it can be anything, but in this case it was tango. So that's mostly, if I can summarize it,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It seems very interesting to me how that can define people's lives, like in your case. Like it's been 30
Yeah.
years, right?
It's funny because you know, some people have determinations in life, like I want to do this. You know, if I had to think about somebody, I'm a very good dancer comes to my mind, that she was in one of my lessons, and the first she entered the room and she said, "I want to be a tango dancer," and but in my case was not like this. It was something that was happening, was evolving, you know? It was like, okay, let's do it for fun. I like to do it. I like to do it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Okay, let's do it more often. What about if I teach? What about if I, yeah.
So you grew into it organically, like evolved.
Yeah.
Like but yeah. Do you think that's also something that was typical of those times when tango was maybe less big than now? Well, I don't know if it was, but it feels maybe.
Maybe it was for people like me who didn't have a tango background in the family. Okay. Another story is for the people who already has a tango background in their lives, you know, because of their parents or things like that. You know, in my case, it was not like that. Yeah, and also if I had to think about this, like when I decided a little bit not to work in the graphic design office anymore. I remember my parents saying to me, okay, but how are you going to earn money? I said, well,
it's a typical parent question. Yeah.
Because if you wanted to make a life, to make a living, you have to have a degree, being a doctor, architect, or something. And being an artist was not for making money, was for a hobby.
Yeah. That's a traditional way of looking at it.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So let me think if there's anything more I want to ask about like the early beginning. Let me see. Yeah, is there anything else you can say about how you felt at the time with tango? Like, did you get like progressively more obsessed with it?
Yes, of course. I think that for most of the people who finished working with tango, there is a moment that it becomes some kind of obsession, you know. And I will tell you a story. The office where I used to work, we used to do the graphic designs for how do you call for ferries, not ferries, for exhibitions. You know, when you go to these places like a Comic Con, where you have the stands. Well, we used to do the graphic for the stands.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember once I was in one of those stands before preparing, doing the things in the stand, and the very close to me there was they were preparing the show of the evening, which was tango. No, and so I saw all the dancers and all the performers rehearsing for the evening, and while I was doing the graphic thing, and I remember thinking that I want to be there, not here. I want to be in that place, not doing this. I want to be doing that. It took me some time, but well, finally it happened.
Yes. So can you tell me about how you made this transition into making it a career instead of just being a dancer and a hobby?
There was a long time where both activities were overlapped. I used to work in the graphic design office every day, Monday to Friday. I was still doing the tango lessons to improve my tango. I was already teaching a little bit or helping, working as an assistant for my teacher, as a in the school, in the tango school.
Same teacher.
And, sorry?
Still the
Same
same
teacher.
teacher.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, still same teacher. And during the weekends, in the evening, I used to work as a waiter in a gay club. And this club used to have like a very nice stage, and we have performances over there, mainly drag queens. And I remember that there was one day that there was a special event. So I asked the owner of the club if I could perform one tango in that event. So he let me do it. So I work as a waiter. So a little bit before my performance, left everything, went into the wardrobe, changed, performed, and came back to my job as a waiter.
On your own?
No, I performed with a girl.
Okay.
And in the audience, there was a very famous director or a very famous drag queen group here in Buenos Aires. His name was Jean-Francois Casanovas, and Jean-Francois saw my performance, and he was preparing a show for a theater. So Jean-Francois actually first asked the owner of the club if it was okay, if he could ask me to be part of the show. Yeah.
Okay. And, that's interesting how those things work in life.
Yeah, and the owner of the club said, yes, of course, he's willing to do that. So then Jean-Francois asked me if I would be interested on doing that. For me, it was like a huge surprise, because he used to have his drag queen company was called Caviar, like the food.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was working in Caviar. So for me, it was like a big thing. And I think that was the key moment when I changed into a professional performer, I would say.
So you were, it's maybe a bit of a strange thing to say, but you were a performer before you were a teacher.
No, I was already teaching. As
an assistant teacher, you mean?
I was working as an assistant teacher, and then after some time, my teacher said to me, "Okay, why don't you start with the beginners group?" So I started with a beginners group as a teacher,
Nice.
Completely on my own, and then somebody else offered me another place where to teach. So I started to develop the possibility of teaching.
So is there, it's maybe a bit of a specific question, but is there maybe a reason why you were, it's always hard to know why you're talented at something, but do you have any idea why this was worked so well for you? Why they liked you so much as a teacher? Like your own teacher said, I think you had talent, so you grew much faster than the others, but still it's interesting to know, like
probably I don't know. I mean, when they offer me these things, on one side I wanted to do it, I wanted to do it, of course, and it was my intention was there of doing this,
Yes.
And if they thought that I could do it, yeah. I'm not going to say that I was like as relaxed as I am right now when I have to do a lesson. I begin myself, oh my God, I have to teach. What I'm going to do? Which exercise I'm going to do, and the music. I was a little bit nervous, of course, but it became something natural with with time and experience.
Yeah, I guess you don't really think about those things. You're good at something, you like it, or maybe the other way around, you like it and then you become good at it and then you roll into something else, like being a teacher or a performer. So I guess that's, yeah, it's not like it was some kind of plan from the beginning. That's what you already said, right?
No, not at all, not at all. I was going to be like a graphic designer. If you would have told me like when I was 20 that I would be doing this, I would have said you're crazy.
Okay.
No way.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny how life just
yeah,
flows
life
sometimes.
changes. Let's see. There should be something inside of me, but it was not, as I said to you, it's not something that I had in my mind so clearly determined in those days.
Is it? Yeah, go ahead.
With the same connected with this and with the same intention, if you want, I was doing that. I think it was my first time in Europe. I went to a very nice German city called Passau in the south of Germany.
Okay.
And I was already teaching and performing there, dancing with a guy. And I remember the woman who organized the tour and the lessons for us. And she said to me, you're going to, you have to open a gay milonga in Buenos Aires, she said to me, and you're going to change the tango scene in Buenos Aires. In that moment, I said to her, her name is Magali, and I said to her, Maga, you're crazy. Forget it, it's not going to happen. And now it's 20 years that La Marchal has been going on. Yeah.
Is that so? That's also how the idea was born, or were you already considering something like that yourself?
No. I remember that after I started La Marchal. No, it was not the beginning of the idea, actually. The beginning was because I was offered to teach for the gay community, to teach tango for the gay community in the late 90s. And I did the lessons in a place which still exists. It's called Lugar Gay de Buenos Aires. And I taught there for more than 10 years. And then there was a moment that there was a nice group. Now we can say, I think about that as a small group, but in those days I thought like, oh, we are a lot. Yeah. It was a group of 10 people, 10, 12 people who were coming to the lessons, and they said, Augusto, listen, it's very nice that we have this place to do the lessons and to learn and to dance, but we want a place where we can dance and socialize, more like a social thing and not just a lesson.
Yeah.
That was the origin of La Marchal.
Okay, before we move into that, let me ask one more question about the beginning.
Yes,
so I asked all this stuff about talent and dancing, but then I had another question about that. Is there also maybe something with the music, with musicality? Because if you're going to be a tango teacher, it's not just movements, it's also music. So did you ever play an instrument, or
No. And that was for me the difficult part of the story. Okay. Because I always considered that I didn't have the knowledge of the music. I played the music, or I listened to the music that anybody played. I knew I could dance to it, but not always, sometimes yes, sometimes not, but not always. It was very clear for me what I was doing.
Okay.
I could be in the rhythm, but sometimes I could explain it, sometimes I could not. No, and that's the weak side of my teacher. Still, I consider my weak side still nowadays.
Oh, still nowadays. Okay.
Yeah. When I have doubts about it, I call friends and I ask them, explain this a little bit to me. And
what do you mean? Technical musical things?
Yeah. The technical musical things. Yeah.
But how important is that? Because tango is also about feeling the music, right?
It is important. It is
Okay.
important. Because, I'm very good friend of Gabriel Mores, the grandson of Mariano Mores.
Okay.
And so many times when I have some doubts about it, I said, Gabi, how is it? How is this? Because I have an idea, but I like to know that. I like to know the experience of the people who really know. And of course, Gabriel knows about music a lot.
Do you have an example of something in a lesson that you?
Yeah. I was teaching in Florida, in the States, in Florida.
Yeah. Okay.
And Gabriel is living in the States nowadays, and I had a student who was clearly offbeat. He was clearly dancing, not with the music I was playing. And I said to him, listen, why don't you pay attention to the music, because you're not dancing clearly into the beat. And apparently, if a step is not working, if you don't have the physical possibility of doing a movement or something, nobody offends a lot. But dancing offbeat is something that people go like, oh my God, it's the worst thing that you can say a student. So I was very careful how to tell him. The thing is that this student said to me, no, but I'm not dancing with the beat, I'm dancing with the melody.
Okay.
I said, okay. And something I do believe in that moment, then I confirmed later on with Gabriel that same evening. Yes, you can dance with the melody, but the melody is still connected with the beat.
Yeah. So yes, it's maybe it's just my quote, but it seems like nonsense, because you have to, if you want to follow the music, you still need to know how the structure of the music is, even if it's just on hearing, not technically.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
and something else that I do believe, and I tell my students when it happens, not all the time, but when it happens, in tango is very clear when you take the decision of doing something in a certain way, or when you just do it just because. You know, you can decide to use the music in this way or another way, and then you will see how nice it is or how not so nice it is, or how good it is or how bad it is. But it's clear when it's a decision of the dancer, and not when the dancer does it because he doesn't know what to do or she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
For me, it's very clear. I don't know if I have like a special gift or something. Another good friend of mine from England, Jennifer, Janice once called me, how do you say, Hawkeye, like ojo de águila. Well, yeah, because she said that I can see things very clearly that perhaps for some other people are not so clear.
Okay, but that's a great thing to do or have as a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a teacher, as a teacher, we do have to pay attention to the students. I think that we do have to try to understand the student. It's not just to tell a student what to do. We do have to understand how they understand what we are doing.
But it's the same like when someone doesn't truly understand something and then they pretend they do. So you need to prevent that from happening, because sometimes for people it's hard to acknowledge that they don't understand something. Because it can be very painful to not be good at something, right? And some people have their pride. Well, we're gonna talk more about sorry, no, go ahead, just tell me what you
many times also that has to do with the ego, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, so I'm looking forward to hearing more from you about the teaching, but let's continue with the history part. One thing I maybe wanted to ask, just more a general question. You told me in the beginning, like, I am a teacher before anything else. And you also told me in private that you don't only teach like necessarily like queer tango or gay tango. It's brother, like you're a tango teacher, right? If I understand it correctly, like you're a brother then. I think the connection is I got a connection issue. Can you maybe repeat what you were saying? I didn't hear anything.
When I started teaching, there was not such a thing as queer tango. It was tango and that was it.
Yes.
And so actually I started in what we call traditional tango, men leading, women following. And you know, it's funny because nowadays everybody claims to be the first one on something. I was the first one doing this, I was the first one doing that, and there is a whole story about who was the first one doing queer tango. Yeah. And what I always say is that actually what I remember is that Claudia, my teacher, even before the idea of queer tango show up, she used to teach both roles, because she said that whether if you're going to use it or not, it doesn't matter, but you have to go through the experience of knowing both sides.
Yes.
So there was a moment where you have to do the other side. If you were a leader, a regular leader, you had to do a follower. If you were a follower, you had to do a leader. So when I started on what we call traditional scene, then all the possibilities of gay tango, queer tango, free roll, open roll, or however you want to call it nowadays, started to appear a little bit because of me, a little bit because of some other people, a little bit because of society. And from the last 7 years-ish, I've been also teaching tango for people with disabilities. Yeah, both mental and physically.
Yes, I ask it because I think it's easy to just put people in like this category, like he's a gay tango teacher, but I think you, and rightfully so, you define yourself as much broader than just a label.
That's why I say to you, I don't like to be locked in only one place, you know. When and it's funny because when I start to feel that I will be like locked here, like I try to run away from that place. I try to do something different. You know, I don't want to be like the queer teacher or the traditional teacher or I just want to be like the tango teacher. Whoever wants to learn, welcome.
Nice. Yeah. That's also, in a way, it's being inclusive as well. If you don't lock yourself up in, people are always talking about being inclusive, but then being able to get outside of your own group is also inclusive, right?
Yeah. It's funny that nowadays the discussions about being inclusive are so updated and I believe that for some people, when I listen to some conversations about that, I feel like, oh my God, again, that's already old-fashioned for me. Been there, done it. Let's go with something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I should probably only focus on the history, but I still want to ask this question already about teaching. So it's maybe not like logical in a straight line, but it's I still really want to ask it.
As you feel, we have to do it. I'm here just to answer. You just
okay. So
the question.
If we're being philosophical,
yeah,
tango is like this huge thing worldwide, and so many teachers and so many students. Yeah. Do you believe that men should actively learn the follower role, which they usually don't right now? And not because of actively wanting to dance as a follower, that's their decision, but just to learn how it is like to lead someone else.
Well, if we are speaking about people who really wants to be teacher, and if you want to be a good teacher, I guess that you should. I guess no, I believe that you should. Otherwise, you will be like not fully equipped to teach.
Yes.
Understand what I mean? Because yes, there has been in the history of tango many people who always have a long and very good tango career, teaching and dancing and doing the whole career in couples. Great, good for them. But I do believe that we all have the possibility, at least as a teacher, to be able to do it on your own. I mean, when I am invited to some places to teach, everybody goes, are you going to bring a partner? And I say, no, to teach, I don't need a partner. I can do it on my own.
Yes.
So if you want to be a good tango teacher, my opinion is that we all should know both roles. Is this a condition? No, of course it is not. This is just my opinion.
And for normal dancers?
What do you mean normal dancers?
People who just learn tango without becoming a teacher.
Well, it's a very good advantage, whether if you use it or not.
Yeah. Because
I do believe that if you learn one side, suppose you learn how to lead all your life, 10, 12 years, 15 years learning how to lead. When you put yourself, your body, your attention and everything on the follower side, then you understand what you should do or shouldn't do as a leader. In a clear way, in a very clear way. So again, are you going to dance as a follower? Perhaps no, never, but try to experience that possibility for you to feel what the other person feels when you are leading that person.
Yes. This leads to a better dancer.
Yeah, both sides, no? Leader as a follower, follower as a leader.
So do you think it would also apply the other way, that the follower needs to
Yeah,
learn how to lead?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Because maybe
absolutely.
then she, generally it's a woman, then
Yeah,
she understands better. Maybe
yeah.
what is your interview? So tell me what would the follower learn from being a leader?
The follower is very common in the traditional tango scene. To go to listen to many women that well, if I have a good leader, I can dance. So they always they always blame on the leader, you know.
Yeah.
Apparently, the follower you can be always a good follower if you have a good leader. And I say to them, but well, yes, of course, if you have a good leader, you can dance. But the good leader also would like to have a good follower.
Yeah. It takes more than just being able to know what someone is leading. Like, you need to be a good dancer yourself as well if you follow.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the history part. So when did you really establish yourself? Yeah, it's a bit hard to ask, but like, how did you become more connected with this queer side? With this, I think you already told a bit about that, but
yeah. Well, I started as well because everything started with this club I told you I was working at. Yeah, in those days, I actually started to date another dancer. And the owner of the club gave us the possibility to do some tango lessons for the gay community in his club. It was a gay club, of course. So I started there with my first open gay lessons in Buenos Aires. And because of that, I was connected to this other place, Lugar Gay de Buenos Aires, where I was for more than 10 years. And Lugar Gay de Buenos Aires was the beginning and the origin of La Marshal. And well, La Marshal has been going on for 20 years now. And when I was doing these lessons in Lugar Gay de Buenos Aires, this friend I told you, we were in Germany. We were invited to the first queer tango festival that ever happened in the world. It was the year 2001. It happened in Hamburg. And we both were the opening show of the whole festival. So I can proudly say that I was the opening show of the queer tango festivals ever.
Nice.
Yeah. And well, and as I tell you, one thing led into the other, and and then in the year 2006, I started to organize the Queer Tango Festival in Buenos Aires together with Mariana Docampo, who is another very well-known queer tango organizer, teacher, and performer here in Buenos Aires. So we started to connect each other. The queer scene was already established. So yeah, that's very quickly.
Yes, but that's a bit of a strange thing to ask, but that's how you became famous?
I don't consider myself famous, but I do consider myself known. I think that if I'm famous, it's because I have been doing this for a long time.
Okay.
You know, last it was the last one. Last festival I was in Berlin before COVID. Astrid, the organizer of Queer Festival in Berlin, the organizer of Queer Tango in Berlin, introduced myself as the grandfather of Tango Queer. So Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Maybe it's a little bit why I became famous. I dated. Yes, I was together with another dancer for 5 years, and in those days it was already a moment where I enjoyed doing tango more with Miguel than anything in the world. So for me, dancing with Miguel was the best thing ever. So we were boyfriends, and we started to rehearse, and we started to work together, and we started to perform together. We traveled together a lot. We were in Berlin, we were in Copenhagen, we were in Stockholm, we were in Italy, in the south of Germany as well. Yeah. Maybe those are the days that put me in the place a little bit more of famous, because there were no male couples in those days, tango male couples in those days.
Okay. So this has contributed to the visibility of like.
Yeah, absolutely. You know the tango place here in Buenos Aires. There is a very famous, iconic tango place called Michelangelo. I say this because it's back here in San Telmo. It's a tango house. You know, these dinner shows and.
Yes. I don't know the name, but yeah, okay.
And so so they were doing auditions they were looking for dancers, for tango dancers. So with Miguel, we decided, let's do it, let's go. We arrived to the place, and it was a long queue, a very long queue. You have to wait for a long time. And I said to Miguel, no, listen, we are not going to wait all this queue, all this line, if we are not sure if they will let us perform. So first we're going to ask. So we went directly to the administration, and we said, listen, I know you're looking for performance, but we both perform together. We are two men performing together. Are you interested? Because if you're interested, we stay. If you say no, we go home. And they were. So we also were one of the few male couples who made auditions for these places. We didn't get the place, but anyway, it was nice to do it.
Yes. Can you maybe tell me something about the history of La Marshall, which is it's a bit of a vague question maybe, but like how was it like to start doing this when it was something that's still new in Buenos Aires? Because I think nowadays it's probably more normal to go wherever you want and dance the way you want, but then you had to go you had to go to your own place.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I always like to say about that is that it was not the first one. It was not the first one at all.
Okay.
Before La Marshall, there were many other tango places and tango venues where men could dance together. The thing is that all those places before La Marshall were some kind of illegal. They were not known. They were hidden.
Yeah, underground. Yeah.
Underground. Yeah. So, but when I had these tango lessons that I say to you in San Telmo, in lugar gay de Buenos Aires, and we have this group of students, and they asked me that they wanted to have a place where they could dance and socialize more than just the lesson. So that's why I decided to open La Marshall. And La Marshall started in a very tiny place, again, here in San Telmo, small place. And the night that we were 15, it was like, wow, a huge success. and La Marsal went on. I stopped for some time because I traveled to Europe for 3 months. Then I returned and opened it again. And then I decided to reopen again. But this time I was ready to advertise La Marsal in the tango magazines. We are not talking about, I think that Famous didn't even exist. There was no social media in those days, you know, it was like magazine and flyers, printed flyers. So we print some flyers and we advertise La Marsal in the newspaper, in the magazine, the tango magazine, and yeah, and I have to say that I was a little bit surprised because I thought that the tango society would be more closed to the possibility, but no, I'm not a person who studies society or anything, but it looks like that the society needed a place like La Marsal in those days, because it became very open, not only for the gay community, because I knew from the beginning that if I kept it so underground and or so locked or so closed to the gay community, it wouldn't last.
Okay.
It had to be open to the tango society in general.
You mean you wanted a wider audience
Yeah,
in your milonga, at your milonga?
Yeah. It was from the beginning advertised as a gay milonga because I wanted that everybody knew that this was a gay place. So if you're coming to La Marsal, you know it's going to be men, all the possibilities, men and men, women, traditional men and women, whatever.
Yes.
But I never wanted to make a place just for men.
And did this work out?
Yeah.
So it worked out the way you wanted it. It was more broader than, okay.
Yeah. The first something that I had to say, okay, for the gay community was like the place they always wanted to have. And for some part of the traditional tango scene, it was a new place where all the famous tango codes were relaxed. My idea in my head all the time was whoever is coming to La Marsal must have a good time. Must have a good time. It doesn't matter how old, how young, how straight or how gay he or she is. They must have a good time. So La Marsal was a place for relaxing, having fun, not for doing it right.
Yes. But this also led to a wider audience. And everyone just felt comfortable that way.
Yeah. At least everybody who was coming.
Okay.
I didn't have, along these 20 years, any specific comment about oh, what you're doing is terrible, you shouldn't exist, or things like that. If somebody disagrees with La Marsal, that I am sure they still exist, I never, those comments never get to me directly.
Okay. Yes. So in that sense, it's whoever wants to come can come, and if you don't want to come, then we don't care. It's your choice.
Being in Buenos Aires, we had an advantage. If you don't want to come to La Marshal, there are a million milongas you can go to.
Yeah.
You're not obliged to come here.
Yes. Yes.
Go somewhere else.
And it's always a bit of an awkward question to ask, but do you think it's less necessary these days to have a special milonga for?
Yes, it is less necessary, fortunately. I always say that nowadays we have one advantage and one disadvantage.
Yeah, I guess I understand.
The advantage is that we did what we had to do. We opened the possibility that didn't exist in Buenos Aires.
Yes.
And it became more, we spread the possibility of dancing same-sex couples in different places, which it was, I would say, impossible before. And the disadvantage is, of course, if you can go somewhere else, it's a, how do you say, a commercial point of view.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Yeah.
But do you still think? Well, I guess let me make a comparison. I would say that if gay men, they can go to more places nowadays, and usually I think they'll be more accepted than, let's say, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But they still want to have their own places where they are in the majority. So I would say, I'm just assuming here, but I would say that there are gay men in Buenos Aires, or maybe lesbian women or whatever else, who still want to go to their own club.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Well, yeah, it does happen like that. Yeah, it does happen. But also, you do understand that people need to do some different experience. I mean, when I have the same clients, the same customers for 20 years, I say to them, I'm so honored that you're coming here for 20 years, but isn't it boring? Don't you want to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You know?
So it's from the commercial point of view, it's not the best thing to do, but it's very authentic.
Like,
You're authentic. Yeah.
Sometimes for myself, it's like, really keep on organizing this. I've been doing this for 20 years, but it still works. So yeah.
So you wanna continue?
Yeah, there was a moment not long ago, especially after COVID, that well, also because of my personal situation, that there was a moment that I thought that it was a very good time to stop. But then I got together with Mariana do Campo, and we decided that we were going to help or support each other. So nowadays we are doing milongas, both of us together, organizing together. Mariana do Campo, Mariana's milonga is called Tango Queer, and my milonga is called La Marshal. So we both organize La Marshal Tango Queer together in one night.
Okay. And that's, yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Yeah. Especially if people can go to other places, then at some point maybe you need to team up. And
yeah, and also because as I said to you, it's already 20 years. We feel I wouldn't say tired, but I would say like we say we have done this for a long time, and there are always new organizers with new enthusiasm and with new spirits, and so yeah.
You think a new generation might take over at some point, something like that?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's an organic thing in life, right?
Yeah. Don't forget the oldies, but it's okay with them.
Sorry?
Don't forget don't forget the grandparents, but
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
it's
yeah,
okay.
sure, yeah. So maybe this is probably the last question for this time.
Okay.
But do you think, like, you know, a lot of gay men, so to say, from
Yeah.
your community? Do you know if they also enjoy going to normal milongas where they are more accepted now? Let's say the typical milongas del centro, like whatever, El Beso, Lodicelia, Grisel. Do you think they enjoy more going there and just being themselves, that they can also just do what they want elsewhere?
Yes, there is a little bit of everything. I really I really enjoy going to traditional milongas, like as you mentioned, no, Lo de Celia, El Beso, Grisel, and all those places. I really love those places. I love those places because I do believe that if we have done, I mean the tango scene, the queer scene, if the queer scene has done a revolution in the tango, we not because of that we have to forget the tradition, or we have to deny the tradition.
Yes.
And when I say the tradition, I mean those places, no? Those places and those dancers. I mean, memories come to my mind immediately. One of the most beautiful performance in the milonga we did with Miguel was in the same evening. The performance was Augusto and Miguel and Coca y Osvaldo.
Yeah, okay.
And we performed, we did our tango, they did their tango, and we performed together. And it was Osvaldo who, in the middle of the tango, brought the couple and mixed the couple. And who's going to say that Osvaldo is not one of the most traditional dancers ever? You know, so all that mixture is something that I really enjoy, and I really think is the real inclusion, is the real integration, is the real thing that we should do. So going back to, I don't know if I answered it, but going back to your question, yes, I do understand when gay men go to traditional places and dance in those places. I think that everybody should do that. Everybody should do that. I think that if we all do that, we all could understand a little bit more what tango is about. If the new generations pay attention to what's going on in the old generations, and if the old generations pay attention to what's going on in the new generations, then that mixture is the possibility for tango to evolve even more.
Yes, because I guess it's a bit of a problem, right? It's some of these traditional communities have a much older audience, and some young people have their own. Sorry.
See, usually the traditional is older, you know.
Yes, but you can just go there and feel welcome.
Yes, not everywhere.
Not everywhere. I understand that.
Not everywhere, but it's more open, more and more.
More open than ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice, and you helped contribute to that. So yeah, it's been very interesting to talk with you today. And
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to discussing more with you, and especially about the teaching, because that seems to be your biggest, your favorite topic.
Anytime you just we arrange, and I would be very pleased to talk to you again anytime.
Yes, I have the feeling like a lot of people who watch this really enjoyed your openness. I think you were very friendly, and yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. And yeah, it's too bad that we've never met before. I've been to a Tango Queer once, but then it stopped. I think it disappeared, like they stopped with it for some time. But I've never been to La Marchal, so yeah, that's sad. But yeah, hopefully one day, if it still exists, because maybe you once at some point you might decide to stop, but who knows? I hope I can.
Yeah. Well, I have to see how life goes.
Yes.
Personal things and all those things, but yeah, I would be around for sure. I would be around for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Perhaps La Marchal is not there, but I will be doing something.
You will be there. Yeah, you will be doing something. Yeah, you'll be finding out some new things. It's like the evolution of life, right? Like how you started.
Absolutely.
And how you compare where you are now and where you started. It's incredible, but it's not the end station. So you have to, your life continues, and you will develop new things, probably, like with your, that's also something I want to talk about at some point, the disabilities. So you told me you have a class for people with disabilities. I mean, that's amazing. Could you have imagined that 20 years ago?
No, 20 years ago, I would have thought that I should be a doctor to do that, you know, or had some kind of degree, but working with disabilities is something amazing, and also makes you change the point of view in the traditional scene.
How so?
Because when you are in the traditional scene and you realize that the whole thing about tango is about how good or how bad people do the steps, or how clean in terms of technique, how good the technique is of this dancer, even in the World Cup. And when you work with people with disabilities, you realize that tango is about something else.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's great how you come to a new realization after so many years of learning yourself. And you, it's. I think it's a tango is like an endless journey, and this proves
absolutely
that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for today.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to doing more, and for now I wish you the best, and also with your husband. And
thank you so much. We are in touch, and you just send me a message and we meet again.
Yes, that's great. Okay, thank you.
Bye.